Okay, let's now talk about software quality assurance. On slide 30 and 31, I just put a couple of software quality attributes, in terms of functionality, reliability, usability, efficiency, maintainability, and portability, and kind of explain a little bit what's meant by it. These are kind of the way we kind of express a lot of times the quality of the software. We're looking at the capability of the software product to provide certain functions that meet the stated and implied needs when the software is used. Reliability really means the capability of the software product to maintain a specified level of performance when the software is used. Usability means that the capability of the software to be understood and learned by a user. How usable is it really when you actually have the final product? Then efficiency is the capability of the product to provide appropriate performance relative to the amount of resources used. Of course, maintainability is kind of obvious. We talked about that in the systems engineering module, and portability as well. Okay, so quality assurance, the goals are really to improve software quality, so the things that we have talked about on these two slides, by appropriately monitoring both the software and the development process that produces it. Yeah, and what we want to try to establish is that there's full compliance with the established standards and plans that have been drawn. Yeah. And furthermore, you have to, software quality guys need to ensure that all inadequacies in the product and the process and the standards are actually identified and brought to the management's attention. So you see, it's very important for the quality assurance people that they have that they are backed up by the management. Yeah. So the people involved in the development and verification process are the ones most responsible for the quality of the product. It's just that QA, quality assurance, monitors the ways these groups perform their responsibility. Make sure that everything the guys in development and verification and configuration management doing what they promised or what they set up to do. So that's why I said it's very important that they have the QA has support from top level management, that they're independent, also that they're technically competent, trained, and that they. So it's really always a really tough call to make sure that to find the people that you're going to put in quality assurance. Okay, so some of the activities is they have to ask QA needs to make sure or provide assurance that the plans and standards are developed and reviewed for consistency. They also make sure that all the lifecycle processes comply with these plans and with these standards, and as a result, it has to perform audits of the software development and integral processes. Also, whenever there are transition criteria, QA will be there to make sure that everything that was promised for this transition criteria has been satisfied, is there. So they really sign off and they say, okay, now you can start deriving low-level requirements from this particular high-level requirements document, for example. Yeah. Also, they make sure that all the lifecycle data is controlled in accordance with the control categories. Finally, of course, they need to produce records, and they make sure that the conformity review is conducted. And we'll talk about the conformity review in a little bit. Okay, this one gives you a set of pitfalls here. Or actually, I don't know why it says pitfalls. This must be activities, really. So what I did here, so get rid of pitfalls. Must have just copied the table. This really, in more detail, lays out the activities that quality assurance must perform. Okay, so like any other activity, so quality assurance must come up with a plan. And this is kind of rehashing some of the things that we talked about with making a development plan or a verification plan. They need to talk about the environment. They need to make sure that there is a statement of authority in there. And this is very important. They need to have backing from management. So there must be a statement of quality assurance authority in there. And it also will spell out the responsibilities and the fact that they must be independent. Because in this plan they need to specify these activities, kind of this list, and of course with a little more detail added. the transition criteria that they're going to be attending, which is mostly all of them, and the timing of the SQA activities. So basically, if you look at D178C and the role of the QA process, you're going to have some planning, you're going to have the development and verification, resulting in continuous changes that are being kind of managed by the configuration management process. Then these things will generate a set of outputs, and quality assurance will make sure that during every step of the lifecycle process, compliance and traceability is maintained. So for everything you're doing in the integral processes, they make sure that they're going to check if this is compliant with all the plans and standards that you came up with. So both these processes as well as the outputs. Okay, this is again, I don't know why I put this there, so forget this slide. More or less, if you go to the software quality assurance process table of objectives, you see some of the things that I showed on the previous slide kind of reiterated in all the objectives in a similar fashion that we saw before. Now, so one thing is that they also have to do is that they're in charge of the conformity review. So the objective of the conformity review is to obtain assurances that the software lifecycle processes are complete, that the software lifecycle data is complete, and that the executable object code is controlled and can be regenerated. In other words, everything is more or less done. Yeah? So this conformity review, as I said in here, is conducted by quality assurance people.